D turn.
Hello.
Hi, it's so great to see you, Cindy, and thank you for taking the time out to do this tonight. It's always an amazing experience to be able to, really show people what Target 100 is all about, what our language is all about, what our coaching is all about, what we believe in. And so, I'd love to start if you're willing to just share what led you to Target 100? I mean, where were you in your life at the time that you started this? So people get to know like what your experience has been as they listen to your call.
Well, first, I'm actually quite pleased to be able to share that journey with people because you just don't know who's out there where someone may be thinking or have had the same experience is what I've discovered through the program is so many people have had a similar experience or have been able to share different experiences and it somehow or another we all seem to be tripping over each other with the same type of experiences. What happened with me is I've always been very physically fit. I've always been very active. And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, my world stopped. I mean, the gym stopped, interaction with people stopped. Everybody knows the story. And I put on weight and I didn't feel good, but I couldn't figure out how to find my way back for lack of a better term. I couldn't find my way back.
Mm.
And I was at Saratoga Springs in Disney walking around because that's all anybody could do back then was walk around. And I started listening to different health podcasts. I was searching. I was searching and I wasn't even sure what I was searching for. And I just, you put up one podcast and no, you can't eat meat. Oh, okay, well, that's not going to work. Oh, you put up another podcast and, you need to eat salad 52 times. Well, that's not going to, I know that's not right. And I just happened to, it was just an answer to a need. I happened to find your podcast. And based upon my own experience in life, all of it made perfect sense. Well, yes, you need to have water. Yes, you need to have fuel. Yes, you need to have sleep. All of it made perfect sense. And you articulated it so perfectly. And I thought, well, this makes perfect sense. And I did more research, which is what I do. I researched and researched and researched some more and bought the book, read the book. And I thought, well, this makes even more sense. The more I learned, the more sense it made to me. And I did the beginner's class. Ashanti was my coach, and she was delightful. And you popped in now and again with different ideas. I started following you on Facebook. I started following you on Instagram. I started following you on Twitter. And you have a way of just not lecturing, but just, what about this? Have you thought about this? And it's very refreshing. And I enjoy it. And your husband makes me laugh with his he just has kind of a way about him where he's always amusing and entertaining. And I like your is it worth it? Those are always kind of fun.
Yeah.
And just got to know the people in your community. And it's a supportive community. It's a fun community. People are all trying to do the same thing. We're focused on our health. And what you have created has altered my path back to good health and back to just being reinterested in life again. Because
Mm.
it's not fun when everything hurts. You wake up in the morning and it's like, oh, I woke up and it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. We talk a lot about weight loss at Target 100, but what we've been talking about a lot recently are the secondary benefits that and I've said this many times is that weight loss is uh what most people come in looking for, but it actually is like the crust layer of what they're looking for, and the things that you're expressing right now are really the kind of things that make me get up in the morning, which is like finding your path and feeling good again and being out of pain, right? Physical, mental, emotional pain. Those low level pieces that we may not even understand are going on under the surface that we've become almost inundated to. And then we take them away. Maybe we do a program and we increase our water intake and our movement and our exercise, and we have a community that we're enjoying, and we don't even recognizable. We just have more energy and we're doing better at our job and our relationships are better in our lives. That's like what we're really looking for. If it was 5 pounds or 7 pounds or 3 pounds, it didn't matter as much as those things that were impacted. What did you
Agreed.
see? What did you see impacted for you?
Uh, renewed interest in life. I became curious again. You know, well, I think I'll try that. What about this? You know, be it through activities, be it through events, be it through going different places, being open-minded towards people again, you know, because everything for me was numb.
Mm,
Nothing was not that anything was wrong. I mean, I've been married to my husband for almost 30 years. I have wonderful kids. I got everything is fine. And it wasn't menopause. It wasn't any of those things where you think you're losing your mind. There just wasn't any excitement anymore. Everything was numb. And, you know, and then all of a sudden I started drinking more water. It's like, oh, I'm sleeping better. This is happening. And it's been a very, very methodical, I don't want to say slow because it has not been slow. Once I jumped in face first. I dove in with not a moment's hesitation because I did so much research.
yeah.
So it hasn't been slow, but it's been very enjoyable and very methodical. And
Mm,
your program has a way of, I've said it before, just walking people down a path. This is a suggestion.
mhm.
It's not, you must do this in order to be successful. You make suggestions on how people can find their own path.
Love it. Well, and I think that's so important for me, the empowerment of humans, whereas the culture of weight loss has been disempowering. Of you
Mhm.
must do what I say, or else you're not doing it right, and therefore it won't work. So you live in a fear state all the time that you may step outside of a line that you didn't even know existed, and that therefore you're wrong, bad, or doing it incorrectly. And so I love this idea that that we're allowing you to create this path in front of you. And you've done so many things. And I'm so grateful that you use the word curious, because that's one of the big words that we use in this course, is like as a part of habit formation, that we know that when you not only trigger a routine and create that reward, that sort of fourth bubble living up underneath those three is this idea of curiosity, which we as humans, as we age, we begin to become less and less curious. It's just a part of how we begin to hear the story in our head. Oh, I've been down this path. I know how this movie ends. Oh, I've been here before. So we stop being curious. And when we reignite curiosity and say, okay, just because this path at the beginning looks like it has the same trees and the same bushes and it's the same little lake on the left, you have no idea what's around the bend.
It's
And
fun. It's
yeah,
very
it's
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
And it's vibrant and it's life-giving. So I want to know from you, on your path, where are you now? What are the things that you're exploring and expanding into?
Oh, you'll laugh. I have decided I need to cook. And some people love it. And I have always been a very functional cook. Here's your sandwich. Here's your hamburger. Stuff on the grill is great. Put it on the grill. Here's a bun. Here's some ketchup. You're good to go. The thing that I have found is part of this program. I've joined the membership.
Sure.
I joined the membership,
Subscription,
and
yeah.
I get the two websites mixed up. The membership is where the recipes are located. And I started looking at the recipes and I thought, well, that's not that hard, and I have that ingredients in my kitchen. And so I've been I've been cooking, and which is kind of, yeah, when my son was in preschool, and this is a story that I will humor you with, you in preschool, you have all these amazing moms where, everybody's perfect and they're trying to be perfect and everybody's perfect. Well, they said for Mother's Day, tell your mother what your favorite breakfast is. And I have twins, and, so always busy, always crazed. And my son, who is now a 23-year-old professional man, graduated from college. He put a little sunflower up in the clothespin of the recipe as my favorite breakfast. This is how my mom makes it. And I went, oh God. And he goes to the refrigerator, takes the Eggo waffle out of the package, puts it in the toaster, put some syrup on it, and that is my breakfast. I mean, I got called out in front of every amazing preschool mom there was. So I've never cooked, I've never enjoyed it, and I've decided that this is something that I would like to do. I've listened to Hemingway's and yours information about maybe packaging. You know, you can't keep eating packaged salads and packaged power bars and package this and package that. The sugar challenge was very eye-opening on the additional sugars. That was amazing as far as the type of information that you shared. So I'm looking at your recipes. They're easy to make. They're specific. I think you have a very good chef, and that's my hurdle right now, cooking.
Oh, I love this. I'm so proud of you. I could just burst, like again, another really important part of Target 100 is never allowing ourselves to relax into an identity just because it's who we think we are after all these years. And again, pressing into that curiosity around, well, anything, right? We could expand this out to the exercise pillar, right? Of like, oh, I don't exercise. And then saying, there's a discomfort, there's an uncomfortable period where you go like, I'm going to experience some things. I'm going to try it. I may make this recipe, and it might be that we order pizza for dinner after this because it's so bad, right? Like it could go that direction, but I'm willing to make those mistakes. I'm willing to go through the hard part to get to the other side to find out who I actually am in this versus who I have thought I am for so long. And we can change any part of us. There's not one single piece of our identity that we cannot go in and systematically say, I'm going to experience this until I go to the other side and decide if this is actually something for me. So I love.
Well, fortunately, again, back to your path that you so beautifully help people walk themselves down. You have the recipes, and I've had my little 3-ring binder and my little sheets that go in there, and I have my 5-5-5 worksheet, and this is what I'm going to make this week. And everybody, and my husband is, oh yay, real food, great, let's give it a shot. And he'll cook too, but he's working full time, and so I have a little bit more time than he does to do these things. So again, the Target program has enabled me to get a system. I'm a huge system person, and I'm not afraid to tweak a system, but you got to have a system to launch.
Yes. Well, and I'm so glad you called out the recipes because I am an okay cook. David loves cooking. It's his stress relief. Like you see him, he's in the kitchen, he's just making stuff up and he's spicing things, and he's just got like a knack for it. I'm a very functional cook, and I enjoy it when I have the time. But those recipes that I've curated are all 4 E's. And they're all for like things that every time I gave them to a client or a group or a class, all I got were like, everyone in my family loved that thing, right?
Mhm.
The sheet pan chicken fajitas or the meatballs that I have, like those 2 recipes, like they're just staples in our house. And every time I make them, everybody erupts and yay, it's meatballs, so that's the goal is. And I like that you're talking about the system of when you find something good, earmarking it, right? Earmarking it, putting it in a notebook or some way, putting it down in a memorable place, because our brains are automatic forgetters. And in the moment of you being overwhelmed or having a lot of work or moving or traveling or whatever it is, you will forget that you have all these resources.
Yep.
I do believe that people think that they're alone in that and that they're broken somehow. That, oh, why can't I remember?
Couldn't agree. Why can't I figure this out? I am a smart woman. Why can't I figure this out? And then come to find out that, gee, I'm not the only one that stumbles from time to time or simply can't figure it out until someone puts something in front of me saying, give this a shot, try it, see if you like it.
Yeah.
And that's what you have provided.
Oh, well, I'm so thrilled to hear it, but more than anything, that piece is where my heart lives in letting people know, like, we're all doing so much. We're really doing so much. And I had this beautiful experience yesterday. I went in to meet a friend of mine who I met as a client years ago, who's now become truly one of my best friends in my life. And she was running the New York City Marathon, and she's a 50-year-old woman. She had trained for months and months. This was going to be this big thing. I just wanted to be there for her. I put her name on my shirt, and I got banana and some water in a little bag, and I went out to meet her, and I snuck under the thing. And when I met her, it was like mile 17 and a half. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but the marathon, the heat was outrageous here in your
Yeah,
New
I
York.
heard it on the news.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
80
rough.
degrees, but it was 80 degrees and humid like you wouldn't believe, like sticky, so bad. So I saw her, she just was like, I'm struggling. And I said, so let me just join you for a few minutes. Let me just jog with you. And somehow I just kind of snuck into the race, and I started running alongside of her and ended up spending the next 8.5 miles, even running across the finish line with her at the end of the race. And in that time, she wanted to go to this place of, I haven't done this in the time that I said I was going.
Oh, oh no.
And
Yeah.
I said, can you imagine that your brain right now, as we were running, is trying to tell you that you have done this incredible thing? You have done months and months of training and preparation and shown up against all odds. The only thing it wants to do is find the negative.
Especially in that kind of heat. You can't, your body does not function properly in that kind of heat.
Oh my God. And she killed it. She completed it. She did this thing that she had so much integrity around, that just, I think it's really important that people understand that when we are trying to establish, right? Like, you're establishing new ways of being by saying, I'm going to attempt to make these recipes. We do all these things. You put it in a notebook, you picked out these great things, you went to the store, and we still have to battle, well, this isn't who I am, or this isn't what I do, or right. So listening to you, really understand that by systemizing these things and by understanding how the brain works, you can overcome almost anything, and you can really have this experience of changing yourself. And that's what I see happening for you. um, where As you become deeper and deeper in this process, um, what is your why, the reason you get up and do this every day?
Why I do, like, pay attention to my pillars. What is expand?
Yeah.
Um,
Why you even came this way?
I, I am in love with life, and I missed it. And life is, there's just so much out there. And as I age, I'm able to not live through my kids, but I'm able to share in the things that they're doing now, and to see their excitement and to see their curiosity and to see the different things that they do. And they support me in things that I want to try and do. And so there's just, life is just good. And and people are good. And I mean, even you, I see so much of you pouring so much into yourself. Of people, we will never probably be in the same space at the same time, other than on Zoom. But you can feel your compassion. People are good, and there's just so much to do and experience. And I want to feel good when I do it. And I want to wear cute clothes, and I want to have fun hair, and I want to do things. My husband is wonderful. I want to continue to do things with just the two of us as the kids go out onto their world. There's just so much still to do. And you said something very interesting, or maybe it was Ashanti, that this is the oldest we are going to be right now, this moment in time. None of us have ever done whatever is next before. You're experiencing two teenage boys. Yikes. But they're going to grow into amazing men. And just being part of that, to me, is worth the effort of cooking and drinking my water and making sure I get sleep. Not the unknown is worth the effort. It's kind of almost so simple it's silly.
Well, it's wonderful. I mean, it must be Ashanti, because I've never said that, because it impacted me so much, because right, it is so true that you've never experienced the moment past this one that we're experiencing right now.
And I don't know what it's like to age. I mean, you don't know. And I want to age the way I want to age, not the way the world has defined I need to age.
Yeah. What is that? I mean, that's an incredible thing. What have you felt around that, the way the world wants to define this?
You shouldn't be able to go to a spin class. The world, there's certain things where the world thinks there's certain numbers in your life. Once you hit them, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't wear a short skirt. You shouldn't wear boots. It's like, well, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing. So Anne Girardi is listening. You've met Anne, I'm sure, in
Yes.
our great our membership events. And she said, what? Right?
Yeah.
That the world says you can't do these things. And people are just enjoying these comments and your energy so much. I can see it in the comments right now. So
do it. We can do what we want to do. And, as long as it's legal, it's not immoral. There's just all kinds of wonderful things to do out there. And I may fail miserably, but on the other hand, I may not.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah. And you liken a lot of what we do to golf, which of course struck a nerve with me, because I took up golf during COVID because there wasn't anything else to do. So it's like, sure, I'll go golf. Turned out I really like it. And you have some fantastic holes, and then all of a sudden it's like I've never picked up the club before in my life. And yeah, we're planning a trip to Scotland. The club that we're members of, we're going to Scotland, and I thought, oh well, I need to get better fast. And it may work. I may go over to Scotland and golf beautifully, and I may go over to Scotland and just spend all the time in a pub. But I've never been to Scotland, so let's go see what that's all about.
Right. Well, and I love this. I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because a lot of people watch these that are not a part of our courses and don't really understand what Target 100 is about. And it's that analogy to golf, and that, like, I think it's so crazy, and I can only speak from from experience, in that, like, I was a part of that diet world where you just did something, and then it was supposed to be this experience that changed you, and then you were done and you could go forward with the rest of your life.
I so wish.
I know, right? On some level, and again, on some level, I'm so glad it isn't, because it's so interesting to continue to pay attention, or to face my wellness as golf, right? Like, my mom was a phenomenal golf player, and she started later in life, in mid 40s. She had never played golf, and she picked it up. She went very, very far in it. And you know it's a practice. It's like yoga. I liken it to yoga. Like, I do yoga regularly, and I just did one on Friday night. It was like, it's like I never did yoga in my life tonight. I don't know what it is, right? But we're in acceptance of that. I went home. I didn't beat myself up over it. I didn't quit yoga for the rest of my life, right? But in this process, we don't want to see this as an ongoing practice that has changes based on where we are and what's happening in our lives, and how those external forces are affecting this. Yes.
the thing that was very, very helpful in the beginners class is how you gave us the grace, gave us ourselves permission to give ourselves the grace of how everything is always changing. The Rubik cube, I have a Rubik cube in my car. I keep it in the car. And it's like you try to keep all the colors lined up. And that was such a wonderful visual. All of a sudden it's dark at 5 o'clock at night now. It, everything has changed again. And to give us, and you, that is one thing that you were very gracious about, of as soon as you get it figured out, something wacky is going to happen, and focus on your pillars. The foundation that you have given us will get us through all the wackiness that's coming our way.
Yeah. Well, what are your power pillars and what are the pillars that you struggle with?
I like the gym. I've always liked the gym. I've always liked the gym. And I think the pillar that I struggle with is the stress pillar. And in the beginner class, I told Ashanti that, and it's something for people who are considering taking this class, it's a lot of opportunity to think about you.
Yeah.
When do you actually take time to think about you? You think about this person, I got to go here, but just time to think, where it gives you an opportunity to ask questions of yourself. And we were talking about the stress pillar, and I admitted to Ashanti that I like my angst. I like it. And my husband used to say, you especially with two little kids, you're like a cat sitting and twitching. What's going to happen? A helicopter, always moving and looking and waiting for something. And I said, I've gotten so used to my angst that I need to figure out a way to release it. And of course, you've suggested David's breathwork class, which I think is something that first I'm cooking, then I'm going to try maybe the breathwork class. I don't want to do everything all at
Curious
once.
about it. It's down the path. That's fine.
Yeah, no, but you offer opportunities to find what will help us through being successful with the different pillars. And again, it might change as our life changes. So yeah, I like to exercise. The water is critical. That's a given. The walking, I still struggle with walking because of COVID. I mean, that's all I did for 2 years was walk around.
Oh, yeah.
But now I'm walk. Yeah. Now it's more with purpose. It's like, oh, I think I'll go take the dog for a walk rather than just go walk around.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, the stress is the one pillar that I struggle with, and you've offered different ways to deal with it.
Wonderful. Well, I love that you bring up that it can feel like, and we talk a lot about this in class and beyond, in that we begin to, so everything we do repeatedly, everything we think, everything we feel repeatedly or for long periods of time become habit.
Mhm.
I'm guessing that the angst, because it was ongoing for many, many years,
Many years.
becomes a habitual pattern. And for you to say that with such clarity, I think, to say, like, I like my angst. Well, yes, we like anything that's comfortable to us.
Mhm.
And even angst, which some people would be like, who's comfortable with angst? Like, anything you repeatedly do becomes your way of being. And so to then face that and say, I see you over there. I see that I've become comfortable there, and I'm going to see what I can do to challenge that thought or that pattern or the belief system over time. That's
Yeah,
like,
maybe it no longer serves me. My life has changed so much that maybe the angst that I've been so comfortable in feeling it, I'm not certain it really serves a purpose anymore.
yeah. And we release it over time. I mean, that's what you were talking about with this process, is
Yep.
that everyone wants to be like, oh, well, why isn't there just some magic pill that I can be like, well, I'm done with that now? But again, when something's in your bones, I mean, it's in your bones after you raise children and you are waiting, well, are they going to crawl over there and stick their finger in a socket? Like, and you've got everything, turned into a bouncy house, like, you're like, I got to protect every minute of their lives. And then they kind of grow up and they go, and you have this new sense of self, do we expect it to just everything to sort of just be, I don't know where we picked it up. I mean, I'm sure it's marketing and all the rest, but the same with weight loss, is that it's going to just be this magical process. You know, I was thinking about, you know, we also have this thought process around old weight losses and this
Mm.
idea that they were fantastical and easy and wonderful, and the weight just came off.
They were. I mean, you could not eat for a day and have a McDonald's cheeseburger the next day for lunch and you lose 5 pounds. You're 22 years old and all you're doing is running around. And now all of a sudden
Yes,
you just
yes,
look at a cheeseburger.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was
it's
gonna
all
ask you,
changed.
what was your experience here in terms of that difference? Because I think we have a lot of folks who are like, can I, at this moment in my life, because of what the world is saying, and you brought this up so beautifully, the world is saying to a lot of people at, I'm 51, it's over. You can't lose weight. And I just refuse to believe that that's the case. And I have a lot of incredible people who have taken Target 100 and had success and challenged those beliefs. Like, how was this experience for you in terms of
Slow.
weight loss? Slow,
Very
slow.
slow. And that's the thing, if anybody that might be listening, it's it's a process and it was slow. And I would, 2 steps forward and 3 steps back type of thing. And and then all of a sudden things kind of started getting a little bit easier and I started connecting the dots more quickly
Mhm.
and the rewards started coming more quickly. And then, and then it's like, well, I don't really know if I want to have ice cream at 8 o'clock at night because it really doesn't, you just start thinking differently. And so for people that may be considering or maybe searching or maybe looking for, it's not going, it's something that gets into your thought process. It wiggles its way into your heart. Is that a good thing to say? Where you kind
Yeah.
of embrace it into your heart and soul and think, this makes perfect sense to me.
Mhm.
And it's so yes, it's not something immediate. Some of the rewards were just as soon as I quit eating ice cream, it's like, wow, that was 5 pounds. That was great. But then once you start getting into the actual pillars and starting to understand how they intertwine. And the other call you said the other night where you were liking it to the racetrack, where you're on the straightaway and this is great, this is easy, let's go. And then all of a sudden you come into this corner. So that was a wonderful analogy to me. And the other thing that was so enlightening is when you did the plateau pillar.
Mm.
Um, wow, that was something because the frustration level of nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, there was so much happening before we got to the plateau that it's okay to take a breath. And if you could elaborate on that, I'm sure I'm not doing it justice. You could probably articulate it better, but the plateau can be so discouraging for so many people, but it's so normal.
Yeah. Well, and I think about listening to you, thinking of where you were when you started, right? Just feeling unmoored, feeling like you sort of lost your love for life was the word. I love life, is what you said. I mean, it's so beautiful. And it was so real when you said it. Like, it hit me so hard. You truly love life and you want to live it. And you were in a place where that wasn't happening. And so this, whatever, however many months that you've been doing this now, they were going to pass either way. Either way, you could be waking up here with me on November 7th and in the same spot that you were in because you hadn't taken the energy and the effort and the work that you put in to find your way to a new place. So the slowness, I always say to everybody, is like the slowness, if it's different at this age, I think the slowness sometimes gets interpreted as bad.
Mhm.
And it's not bad. It's
It's
different.
more methodical though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
slow because we're wiser.
Yeah.
We've learned more. We've seen more. And so we enter into it with extreme purpose. So I think it's slow because we're more methodical about how we're going to execute the process.
Well, and I say also, like, in my own journey, even like being super data connected and honest about my life. When I look at my life, when you take my life, I think about this house we lived in before this one, and the boys were very, very young, 1 and 3, 1 and 3 up to like 3 and 5 years old, right? And the difference in, so I get up now, just to like a quick highlight of like how my life looks like when I wake up in the morning right now. It's like I get up, I pour a cup of coffee, I turn on my little gas fireplace, it goes, I sit there with my dogs, I drink coffee, I read, I do my morning stuff. When those boys were young, it was like being fired out of a cannon. I'm grabbing them out of the crib. I'm cradling one. I'm feeding the other. There's no sitting on the couch. I was active from the second I got up to the second I went and tucked them into bed.
Mhm.
And then right. So even just how, right, if I did, I don't know if I did what I used to do on a daily level in my life today, would my weight loss look the same? I'm so curious. I'm just
Mm.
so curious. I wanna, like, go back in time to see, like, is it because I'm 51 and we know there's atrophy and there's hormonal imbalance and all of these things, but I also know my lifestyle, and then you layer in COVID and working on Zoom and all the things, has changed so dramatically from those times that I'm comparing against,
Mhm.
right? When we say I lost 5 pounds by looking, 3 days later, right? At 22. But, like, that's the other thing, is like to just like you're saying, we have never been here before. So to say that our weight loss has ever been here before either, and to face it as if it's bad or wrong for the pace at which it's going, or the things of which we're uncovering now, which may not be 2 pound and 3 pound drops like we're used to from our younger days, but there's then this evolution into, I'm going to try cooking. I'm going to try. So what it does is it spurs discovery and difference in our lives.
Mhm. Mhm.
I always want to make sure, I never want people to leave the process because they're discouraged. Like, that breaks my heart.
Oh.
That frustration, right? Frustration and the negative self-talk that gets going about the scale not moving at a pace, completely, it makes perfect sense because I've been there and I know what it feels like, but then it also makes no sense because that, whatever it is that you're learning, is moving you to the next part of the path
Mhm.
that will get that scale moving. But by disrupting it and saying I give up, then we never get to go to that next moment that you're showing us so beautifully. For you right now is this, I'm trying cooking for the first time in my life. I'm doing X, I'm doing Y, I'm doing Z.
Yeah.
So,
Who would have figured? Who would have thought?
yeah. What would you say if someone said, hey, I really need help today and I need just one good piece of advice from you, and they're listening and they're just hoping that you'll say something, really just, what would you tell somebody who is struggling in this moment?
Wow, I think we've all been in struggles. And the one thing I have learned is to tether myself to people who know more than I do. So for instance, with me, I did not know how to find my way back. And I searched and I did my research and I looked and I decided to, I hate to use the word anchor, but you were kind of my anchor as far as, okay, let's do this. Just as I said, we've never met, but to tether yourself to a process, a person, In my case, it's not was, it is Target 100. And I am, I bought in 100%. So I know there's so many other different programs that are out there, but the thing with Target 100 is it's just a lifestyle of acknowledging habits. If you're considering taking any of the courses, the beginner course was wonderful. All of the coaches are wonderful. Liz would pop in. They give so many tools. And not all of them will be something that anyone will use. I use pretty much all of them. I like all of them. But the technology I struggled with. But you have a wonderful team. You think, oh, you're going to get this box and it's to be great. Couldn't figure it out to save my life. Turned out my Fitbit was from a Fitbit that I had 5 years ago before COVID hit. I still had that log on. Took us 3 days to figure it out, but your team figured it out. So there's a lot of opportunities to use technology. There's a lot of opportunities to, different platforms, through all kinds of social media. So I guess the one piece of advice is to hopefully it would be Target 100, because I said I've done so much research, but I would never assume that it's right for everyone, but to tether yourself to someone who knows more than you do. Because I didn't know, about the Rubik's Cube, and I didn't know about the sleep pillar, and I didn't know how critical water was. And you have so much experience, and you've heard all the stories. I think the one that amused me the most is with Weight Watchers, when you were there, where the women would say, well, if I eat, a piece of dry French toast and a piece of grape and a piece of this, and I have 72 points left over, and then I can go have my ice cream bar. And that was a great story, because I've been there. I've been to I went to the gym, I did this, I did that, and now I can go out and have a cheeseburger. You can't run away from the fork. So anyway, that's just, if anybody is thinking about doing this, is that you know what you're doing, and you have a team of people that know what they're doing, and to grab on.
Yeah.
That would be my
Wow,
advice.
so many great pieces of advice here, just right. Like, if you're gonna do something, actually really do it, right? Jump into the deep end and do it. Find people who know more than you, and we've got 6 pillars, right? And even that, I love that you love the exercise pillar, but it seems to be one of the harder pillars for most people.
Agreed.
It's just one of those things, and trying to find that person who's good at that and can pull you into that in a way, right, that makes sense if it is the hard thing, in so many ways. And I always think, like, for me, Target 100 was meant to be agnostic.
Mm.
I was so tired of the judgments, right, that came from other plans. Like, you're not doing it my way. You're not
Mhm.
doing it. So I built it as a structure that you could be doing multiple different things, right? You could be doing spinning and be a vegetarian and be, sleeping X hours, versus the person next to you who might be doing, so many different pieces. So it is about you getting to know yourself, and about building up what is right for you. And I think that that is a real process that we've talked about tonight. And you've been really helpful in illuminating that, for people. So, really letting them know that tethering yourself to somebody who knows more than you, I think that's a real talent. I think that's a talent, in that sometimes we want to not admit that we don't know. And
It's to me, it was almost a sign. It's like, I'm not weak. Yeah, to me, it was a sign. Why can't I should be able to figure this out. What's the matter with me? Why can't I figure this out? It's like, who cares why I can't figure it out? It doesn't make me weak. It just means that somebody else knows more than I do. So help me.
yes, yes,
Catch me.
yeah. So
Yeah.
That's a beautiful piece of advice, and I think that's just the perfect thing to let people know is that, and we say it all the time, you are not weak, you are not broken. A lot of this industry, right? The weight loss industry has broken people.
Mhm.
It's that in and out and that up and down and these extreme pieces and this on and off and this kind of associating yourself as not being able to do this and all of that. We want to take all of that away so you can just begin this again, but in a wholly different way. So I so appreciate you making that very clear for people and sharing your advice. You're a true gem and such a big part of our community at this point. I can't imagine Target 100 without you
Oh,
here.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I look forward to it. You have so many different opportunities for people to experience good health, experience life again, experience something that they haven't tried before. Maybe they're good at it, maybe they're not good at it. Okay.
Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experience and all of the ways in which you've been a successful human, right, on this program. And here's to all the future success and curiosity that we
Thank you.
do
Thank you for
together.
having me.
Oh, thank you.
I
This is a
was,
beautiful discussion, and I know it's going to help a lot of people as
I hope
they
so.
search
I
for
hope
more.
we all need to take care of each other. It's rough out there.
That's our community. We're all
Yep.
here. And
Yep.
I'm sure you'll get a lot of reach outs of people thanking you for your wisdom. So,
Thank you for your time, Liz. I do
yes,
appreciate it.
have a
Thank you.
great
And
night.
thank you for all your hard work. I
Oh,
listen. I'm listening.
no, I appreciate you. Thank you for trusting me.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.